At 71, Ron Howard has finally spoken plainly about George Lindsey, a man fans knew as Goober Pyle, but whom Ron remembers as far more than the lovable mechanic from Mayberry. Ronald William Howard was born on March 1, 1954, in Duncan, Oklahoma, into a family already steeped in show business. His dad, Rance Howard, was a respected character actor. His mom, Jean Spiegel Howard, was an actress as well. Growing up in that environment meant Ron absorbed acting, filmmaking, and story sense from the time he could walk. That combination of family influence and natural skill launched a career that would stretch across decades and cover an astonishing range of work. He hit the ground running as a kid. From 1960 to 1968, he played Opie Taylor on The Andy Griffith Show, and America took him into its living rooms and hearts. Opie's warmth, innocence, and quiet insight felt authentic because Ron brought them to life with humor, honesty, and a surprising depth for someone so young. By the time Happy Days premiered in 1974, Ron, now Richie Cunningham, was anchoring another cultural touchstone, charming audiences with a pitch-perfect blend of heart and comic timing. But from early on, Ron wanted to do more than perform. He wanted to tell stories from behind the camera. He studied how images shape emotion, how lenses, light, cuts, and rhythm carry a narrative, and began directing commercials and TV episodes. Those first efforts already showed what would become his trademark, an intuitive feel for pacing, character, and emotion. By the late 1970s and 1980s, his directing career had liftoff. Splash, 1984, starring Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah, balanced fantasy, romance, and comedy with a human pulse that audiences adored. Cocoon 1985 explored age, friendship, and the promise of renewal, proving he could guide ensemble casts while keeping the emotional center steady. He moved comfortably across genres, family drama in Parenthood, 1989, and white-knuckle historical suspense in Apollo, 13, 1995, always grounding spectacle in human stakes. History and biography became a sweet spot. A Beautiful Mind, 2001, Ron's deeply felt portrait of mathematician John Nash won him the Academy Award for Best Director and cemented his reputation for marrying precise craft with powerful feeling. He continued in that vein with Frost Nixon, 2008, and Rush, 2013, films that honored real people and real events without sacrificing momentum or intimacy. In 2006, he took on The Da Vinci Code, adapting Dan Brown's global bestseller. The film's church history puzzles and Holy Grail intrigue drew controversy, especially from Catholic leaders, but Ron's steady direction and Tom Hanks's grounded turn as Robert Langdon kept the focus on mystery and momentum. The result, a worldwide phenomenon that grossed over $758 million while igniting conversations far beyond the multiplex. Nearly a decade later, he pivoted to seafaring epic with In the Heart of the Sea, 2015. Inspired by Nathaniel Philbrick's non-fiction account of the Essex, the real-life whaling tragedy that helped inspire Moby Dick, Ron fused painstaking period detail with a survival story about courage, conscience, and the cost of staying alive. The cast, Chris Hemsworth, Benjamin Walker, Cillian Murphy, and Tom Holland, leaned into the physical and psychological toll, while Ron kept the human story front and center. He returned to Robert Langdon's world with Inferno 2016 again. Adapting Dan Brown, Tom Hanks reprised his role alongside Felicity Jones, Omar Sy, and Irfan Khan. Racing across Florence, Venice, and Istanbul, Ron wove art, science, and Dante's divine comedy into a high-stakes chase that delivered puzzles, pace, and sleek European atmosphere. Then, in May 2018, he stepped into a galaxy far, far away with Solo, a Star Wars story. When Phil Lord and Christopher Miller left over creative differences, Ron took the helm, steadying a massive production while honoring a beloved character's beginnings. Alden Ehrenreich led a cast including Woody Harrelson, Emilia Clarke, Donald Glover, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Ron balanced character beats with kinetic action, giving fans a spirited look at Han's formative years without losing the franchise's swagger or heart. Away from sets and sound stages, Ron's personal life has been a model of steadiness. Married Cheryl Alley on June 7, 1975, and together they've built nearly 5 decades of partnership, no small feat in a business not known for stability. They raised 4 children, including Bryce Dallas Howard and Paige Howard, both of whom followed creative paths of their own. Bryce Dallas Howard, in particular, has thrived as both actor and director, moving easily between indie dramas and tentpole adventures. The Howards have always emphasized creativity, work ethic, and integrity, a supportive home where ambition never came at the expense of family. And now, at 71, Ron has chosen to speak openly about George Lindsey, the actor millions remember as Goober Pyle on The Andy Griffith Show. For years, fans wondered what the chemistry was like behind the scenes. Ron mostly kept those memories private. Until now, George lit up a room the instant he walked in, Ron said, reflecting with that mix of candor and affection that has long marked his interviews. His heart was always in the right place. He cared about the crew, the cast, the day's work. You felt it. He made the set feel easy. People often remember Goober's broad comic moments and assume George was simply a natural clown. Ron's view is warmer and sharper. He approached comedy like a serious actor. Ron explained, he watched, he listened, he refined. The effortless you saw on camera came from years of thoughtful work. That's why it felt so authentic, because underneath the laughs was craft. More than a colleague, George was a steadying presence for a young actor learning his way. He had a gift for making you feel you mattered, Ron recalled. Advice. Never felt like a lecture. Sometimes it was just a quick word about a scene, sometimes it was a talk about life. Either way, you walked away lighter. Ron also remembered George's grace under pressure. Television can be a grind, tight schedules, technical hiccups, long days. George never let the rough patches steal the joy, Ron said. He kept the work fun without cutting corners. That professionalism sticks with me even now. Offset, George's life was rich in the ways that count. He loved his people, Ron said simply. He showed up. He celebrated others. He gave quietly. In a business that can make everything about me, George kept making room for we. Though George Lindsey is no longer with us, Ron believes the true measure of his legacy isn't only in the laughter that still echoes from reruns, but in the kindness that rippled through every room he entered. When I think of George, I can't help but smile, Ron said. He was funny, yes, but also generous, intelligent, and steady. Those of us who knew him will always carry that. In telling these stories now, Ron offers more than nostalgia. He restores the full picture. George Lindsey as a consummate pro, a gentle mentor, a good friend, and a man whose warmth made work feel like a privilege. It's a reminder that the golden age of television was built by craftsmen who treated comedy as an art, and colleagues as family. George may be gone, Ron concluded, but what he gave us endures, the lessons, the example, the joy. That's the real measure of a life well lived.